also use, the New Testament use a lot of words to explain sin too. Hamartano is sin in the New Testament. And it also means missing the mark or missing the point, and mean that making a mistake. Now, it's not fully Greek or Roman thinking, but it's still based on Jewish thinking too. When we say that the New Testament written in Greek, yes, but all the concepts still come from Jewish understanding, Jewish thinking. So it just try to explain that when people do something away from the law of God, from the straight path of God, that means sin. It's the same thing. Hamartia is also sin in the sense that also the Greek get the understanding from the Hebrew understanding that anything that away from the will of God, anything against the will of God is sin. You see that all these things have the same root. It just used in the sense of noun, adjective, or verb. It's some from the same root. Anything away from the will of God is sin in the Greek understanding. And now another way they call sale, or anything about the flesh, mean that anything the body wants is sin, because God is spirit. But when we do anything on the flesh or our body desire, is sin. And that is the New Testament idea that any desire, bodily desire or physical desire is always against the spirit of God. So now, adikia is another way the Greek New Testament used. Any injustice, anything that men do to each other is not fair, is also sin. Now it's more in the general sense now. The Greek use another word in the New Testament, to fall. And it means that something that start getting away from the right thing, mean that you fall from God, you fall from the standard of God. Palatoma, this is another way they say that we violate the thing that's not supposed to. Or it's like people do something against the law of God or the norm of the biblical culture. And here another word they call transgression. Anything against the law again, against the will of God. And now this is another way they use anything of your lifestyle that self-abandonment means that we're supposed to have a standard from God. When we abandon that, it means that we sin. And this is more about the body sin, the thing that we do with our physical body. Why do we sin? Well, we have to go back to the Garden of Eden. When God made Adam and Eve, everything good, everything looked nice, everything perfect, until Satan come in and tempted people. How they tempted? The snake tell, or in the form of Satan, in the form of snake, tell Eve that, did God forbid you from eating any fruit from the tree, especially this tree? Eve said, no, God said that don't even touch them. Now you look at the conversation between Satan and the women or Eve. Satan tempted by the question, is God forbidding? It's not true. God did not forbid them to eat everything. Just one tree of knowledge. Don't eat them. Why God put a warning on that? It's just about obedience. They can do so many things, but something they should not do. And people ask why God forbid them from eating one tree. Why not allow them to eat everything? Well, that tree is about man decide to be their own God. So there's still a God that you need to obey. But when you break that law, it means that man going to be their own God. They don't want to obey God. They want to be their own God now, their own self. So that is just one. But Satan said that you can be your own God. Satan already did that, mean that Satan rebelled against God and want to be God themselves. And that's the big sin. And Satan tempted man to do the same thing. Be your own God. You don't need God. You can be God yourself. So human being decide that, well, not bad. We can be our own God. We don't need God anymore. That is sin. The beginning of our sin, because we think that we can be God ourselves. We don't need God. So it's always go back all the way to the first temptation and man the desire to be their own God. Now, what is the consequence of sin? The Bible says that when we make sin, the price have to pay. The price of sin is death. Now, it's another question. What does death mean in the Bible? In general form, we understand that means that we, for example, in this physical body, when you say you're dead, you die, it means that your body expires, the body stop function. You're not moving, you're not breathing, you're not functioning anymore. That means die, disappear. But in the Bible sense, death doesn't mean disappear. Man, in that sense, man never die. Mean that we live forever because we come from God. We are part of God. When God make man different from all things, from all animals. The Bible says that God make man in his own image, reflection of God. So it means that God put the spirit in us and we will never die, in the sense that we will never disappear. It's just changing from one state to another state. So the sense of death in Buddhism or in our standing is not what the Bible means. If you think that Buddhism tied to be distinguished mean that no rebirth, no existing, disappear, zero, that the ultimate goal of Buddhism. Buddhism want to disappear, no existence anymore. But it's not Christian teaching, because we will be there forever, because we come from God. So what that mean? In the Christian Bible, that means to cut away from God, to cannot get to God, because God is life. When we want cut away from God, we cut away from life, from happiness. We will live in agony, in suffering forever, but we still over there. We not disappear. So this is some more Bible verses talking about sin. Now we talk about one death and two death. One death means that physical death. The second death means spiritual death, because we have body and we have spirit. But both to death in Christian sense mean that not disappear, but what cut away from God. So when we sin, we were cut away from God physically and spiritually. So Adam and Eve were cut away from God spiritually, mean that they cannot get in touch with God anymore. And later on, they were cut away in their body. The body expired. They don't live in that body anymore, but they're still there. Their spirit's still there. Through that. Now, this it will go on that the consequence of sin will bring to death. But later on, we talk about salvation, we talk about redemption, we talk about Christian who born again. We will talk about we born 2 times but die 1 time. But regular people born 1 time but die 2 times. Born 1 time means not born spiritually or physically. Die 2 times, dies physically and spiritually. But the one who born 2 times mean that born physically and spiritually. Will die 1 time mean that body dead, but spirit will never dead again. That's the sense of the difference. Now we talk about sin. Sin, God is holy God. When we have sin, we cannot get close to God. You remember in the Old Testament time, all the priests who going to be with God need to clean themselves, ceremonial clean. If not, they die, because God is holy God. When we sin, we cannot get close to God anymore. So we need to do something with our sin. Either the Old Testament time, they used all kind of ceremonial to make themselves clean again, so they can get close to God again. And that is the symbol though. We know that all those sacrifice of animal or anything cannot get away with sin, but God accepts it as a symbol for the time being. So we will all suffering with sin all our life until we born again, at what the Bible says. Now we talk about 3 kinds of sin in the Bible. Original sin means that sin we get it from Adam and Eve. It's the inheritance passed on generation to generation. That's why the Bible says that one man sin, every man sin, because we are the product of the first man. It's an inheritance of sin that we pass on. Are babies sinful? Yes, if we talk about original sin, everyone born with sin. The original sin, the byproduct. How we know that we get the sin from our ancestor? The easy answer is because the product of sin is suffering, death, sickness, aging. Everything is the product of sin. Now you look back, when God make Adam and Eve, they are not baby. They are grown-up men and young. And that is without sin. When Adam and Eve sin, now we see they get older and they get sick and they die. This is the product of sin. Without sin, man going to live forever, young, energetic, and never get sick, never get old, and never die. That's the purpose of God that make human being. But because of sin, we know that we all get the inheritance of sin from Adam. Corporate sin, what that means? The Bible used this word in the sense that sometimes we live as a group, we live together as a nation. Some sin of the leader have affect the whole community, the whole country, the whole group. So we share the same corporate sin, mean that one person or one leader do something bad, it affects the whole group. And the blessing too. When the leader bring blessing, not just to himself, but the whole group, whole family, whole clan. So that we call corporate. And this is some idea of Calvin. John Calvin is the very famous theologian in the 16th century. He talked about corporate sin in the sense. He one of the famous one, that's all. Now we talk about personal sin. We all also do personal sin, mean that we make it ourselves, our personal decision, and it affects attitude, action, all this kind of personal sin that we can do. Sin of attitude, mean that thinking, Jesus mentioned a lot, it starts in our heart. Sin of action, something we did with our body. And sin of neglect, mean that was what we supposed to do, but we did not do. What we supposed to observe, we did not observe. So mean that we neglect what we supposed to do, that is sin too. Sin of intent, mean that we can do it or not do it, but we think about it, we plan about it. It's also sin. So it's possible. And we talk about from the Bible how we overcome sin. The Bible clearly says that we can overcome sin by come back to Jesus, confess our sin, and ask for forgiveness. And this is the step we can take, confess our sin, humble ourselves, pray for forgiveness from God. And by the grace of God, God forgive. This is the step that we can take. And this is all the steps that the Bible recommends us how to take. So I go real quick, did not lead all of you. You have the lecture note, you can go all over them yourself. I just don't have enough time to cover all this. But this is the step we can take to come back to God and ask for forgiveness. And the Bible says God is faithful. When we ask for forgiveness, we come back, God will forgive us. Now the question is, how many times we need to come back to God? To ask for forgiveness? Well, the answer is not that easy. We born again once, but to ask for forgiveness, it can happen all the time.
Yes.
But we born again once. So what that mean? We born again once, why we have to ask for forgiveness all the time? Because when we born again, it's the step. When we sin first spiritually and then body. When we born again, it's step 2. We born again spiritually now, but our body not born again yet. That's why even we are born again believer inside, our outside, our body is still in sin. So now that Paul say, the new spirit live in the old body. So the war going on. The body don't want to do good thing, don't want to obey God, but the spirit already belong to God. It war all the time. So Paul recommend us that control the body. The body is not on our side, it's against us, against the spirit. So the spirit need to control the body. Paul compare it like wild animal. When you have wild animal with you, don't trust it. You need to control it. Or the tiger, lion, it killed when it's in jail, it's in cage. You don't let it out because it's too dangerous. and don't trust wild animal. Don't think that it tame. You heard the story about all the white tiger in Las Vegas. There is show of white tiger. The tiger that they raise up seen a baby, and the owner claimed that, oh, it's so tame, I can trust it. I can even put my head in their mouth. But one day the tiger decided to chop the head of the owner. Now the owner is in what you call handicap situation. So our body is that way. The Bible compares that way. Don't trust the body, control it. Paul even say that I beat up my body every day. How you think about that? When Paul say I beat up my body every day, even Paul struggling with that. Because the body against the spirit. The spirit only belongs to God. The body still not. But when our body is going to belong to God, one day when Jesus come back to change our body, to be a new body, and that time our body not in sin anymore. And we're not going to die, not to get sick, new body. And that's going to belong to God fully one day. But today we're still waiting. Okay, that in general though, I know we cannot go all in detail, but general idea about sin according to the Bible. Yes, Bob.
Like a cut away from God, that means like a spiritual die, right? That point to the spiritual die, the cut away from God.
Yeah, to cut away from God is death. So right now, our spirit, we call born again because we come back to God. We can get to God. And this is why we can pray to God and God can stay with us because our spirit already knew no sin anymore. But our body is still in sin.
Oh.
That's why the body is still fighting the spirit of God in us.
Yeah, the second born, like when Jesus come, we gonna born with the body, with
Yes.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the sign when our body stop getting old, stop getting sick, and stop death. That means we have new body. But as long as we still get sick, get old, and die, it means that we're still in the old body. How you imagine yourself that you're going to be young forever, never get old, never get sick, and never die. Mean that never cut away from God again. How you going to look like? You want to look like the same as you look like now? I hope not.
Yeah, when we have hope, like when we hope like Jesus come second time, like we hope that new creation.
I don't know how Adam and Eve look like before they commit sin. It should be perfect.
Yeah, somebody misunderstood like when they die, like a Christian die, they say right now it is in heaven with Jesus. That's not true, right? Still less in place, like a less in peace.
Well, now, yes, spirit, yes. Our believer who believe in Jesus now, spiritually in heaven with Jesus, but the body is still in this world.
Oh, okay.
But as I say that, we could have a new body one day. Because in the image of God, we have God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And angels don't have all the image of God, just a little bit. Angels just spirit, no body. But man, we have body, mind, spirit in the image of God.
We have two parts like a body and spirit, separate when we die and okay, that's it. Thank you, John.
Welcome.
I just have a quick question regarding to the phrase, the words, the wages of sin is death. And now, since we are born again second time, we're no longer dead. And now we have two things in, we have two persons, right? One is the body and one is the soul or the spirit. And when the body committed sin, it affects the soul or the spirit. So when the body die, is it also cause traumas or hurt the soul?
You see now, when Christian born again, it's different from before we born again, because before we know Jesus or born again, our spirit and body live together in sin, both dead from God. But now, when the Bible says that when we born again spiritually, God gives us a new life, new birth, new spirit that cannot sin anymore, cannot die anymore, but still live in the old body for the time being, waiting for transformation from God. So the Bible have different way to explain that. Sometimes the Bible use the way that God's still working on us. It's not about the spirit, it's about our mind thinking. If you believe that we still have body, mind, and spirit, you see that the mind, when the Bible talk about the mind, it talk about our thinking, our feeling. It's separate from the body part. So when sometimes we talk about that God's still working on us, He talking about working on our thinking, our feeling. But the body have to wait until the end, in the end time, for the fully change. Now we talk about when the body is still in sin, and it still can affect our spirit in some way. The Bible say that when body sin, it grieving the spirit or hurt the spirit in some way, because we share the same body, we still share the same part, and still can affect each other. But the sin of the body cannot sin the spirit anymore, but can sadden the spirit. Because we share the same space. And if the spirit is strong enough, we control the body to keep it tame, under control in some way.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Kat.
Yeah, John, this is Christian is not the Christian people say that, but I heard some of non-believer that say that against on the Christian. So that's why I want to share today. If any way we can have a answer to non-believer, they said, oh, then some people, they know the Bible. Sometimes they read the Bible. They said, sin from the Adam. But we, the human, we have body, we have spirit, we have soul. So that means God give you the soul, but your sin is not from the your spirit or from your soul. So only the body sin. So the judgment time is only your body going to the hell or with your soul. I heard some people, they said that too, Ajahn. They said when you reborn, that when you Jesus come back a second time, your spirit is going to go to the heaven with God, and your body separate and go to the hell if you have a sin. That no matter what you do, good or bad, your body got to go to the the hell.
Well, that is not what Christian Bible teaches.
Yeah, that's why I said that the non-believer they ask that.
You see that when God make man, we have body, mind, and spirit. So when punishment come, all three parts go to be punished. So you see that a lot of non-believers think that hell is the place of suffering. Some believe that just the spirit go to suffer. Some believe that just the body go to suffer. But according to the Bible, all three parts, body, mind, spirit, go to suffer together. But it's different. You see, our body today have limitation. When you get hurt so much, you can die, mean expire. But in hell, the body will tolerate all the suffering without expiring. Mean that you might feel that it's too much, you die, but you wake up in the same place, in the same hell again and again and again. Wow, that is real hell. Because today we think that we suffer too much, we die, we get out of that suffering. But in hell, never get out. You come back in the same place again and suffer again. That is real hell. Forever. In this world, we should have time. We hope that it will end, but in hell, never end. Wow, that is scary. Nobody want to go to hell, and nobody we don't want any our loved one to go to hell because it never ends.
Okay, then Ajahn, this is my question. Okay, so every day in between the soul and then the body, is that the soul control the body any second, any time to do it, something?
Well, I don't think so, because, for example, we Christian, we still can do sin with body. And because our soul cannot control the body, that's why the body still sin. So Paul say we need to control the body, but it's not easy. It's not that easy.
Thank you.
It needs a lot of work to control the body.
But isn't it the mind is the one that, isn't it the mind the one that's telling us what to do? I mean, telling the body what to do?
Yeah, most of the time it's that way, but sometimes the body just do what they want to do without the thinking or the mind. Like people say that it become routine or become habit. You don't need to think. And you don't need to feel. The body just do whatever they want to do sometimes. So it's possible. Now, how you think about the people who on drug or got drunk and they do a lot of weird stuff? Well, somebody say that their mind go banana, go crazy. That's why they can let the body do all those crazy things. So it's possible. But sometimes without the mind or the thinking, can the body do bad things? Well, sometimes we explain that by instinct. The body just do what they used to do without thinking, without feeling. So it can be work together or work independently too. Okay, you have any more questions concerning this topic? Okay. Some of your friends cannot come this semester, so praying for them because of all the obligation. So if you know that you can help them in some way.
How about Kamla อาจารย์
Kamala, she talked to me and said that, well, she feel that this classes is more for leader. And I think she cannot get a lot of things. Maybe she feel that it's overwhelming. I don't see Robert today too.
Right.
So
And Pun,
yeah, Pun have to go on checking COVID or something.
and Evan and Monica, right? There's 2-3 missions today.
Yeah, Evan and Monica told me that they're going to take off this semester because of
Oh, no wonder. That's why I tried to call and I don't have an answer. Sorry about that, Ajahn.
yeah, they text me yesterday that they have a lot of things to do, and they say they move into the new house and need work on that new house too. So that's what they text me yesterday. Okay, you have any question concerning the textbook or the assignment? If you want to just read the lecture note, I think you have enough to cover what we learning, unless you want to read the textbook. It's a little bit difficult to read. Do you have any more question or concern about the class?
Ajahn,
Yes.
I have something to share with my classmates. I downloaded one. It's called audio Bible commentary. To me, it's helpful. You just do whatever you want to do. Just put your headphone on and just listen the Bible commentary. So it's nice. I've been listening for about 2 months now. It's really helpful.
What is the commentary you recommend?
It's I think it's called, the title is what the Bible is all about. It's by called the Dr. Henrietta C. Mears. Dr. Henrietta C. Mears. I will put on the chat room.
Okay, you know who he is, where he from?
Yeah, I look is before I buy anything, I look on the commentary on the comment about the person. Is good.
Yeah, I want you to check that what church he come from, what denomination, what
Okay.
he believe,
Okay.
because now you cannot really trust all the recommendation, because a lot of time it's fake, mean that
Yeah.
the author himself or his own team recommend themselves.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of time now you cannot believe in all those recommendations.
Yeah.
Check his background, what church he come from, what school he graduated, and what denomination he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to check that. If not, sometimes we believe on too much of recommendation that cannot be trusted.
Yeah. Look on based on this is good. I go to Google and they talk about her.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sometimes I don't trust Google too. Check that where she come from, what her church, what her denomination, where she go to school, and that will tell a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I will read through and I will come back next week.
Yeah, check her background first. And sometimes you need to make your own judgment from the background that the person is, what school, what denomination, what church, all her background will tell.
Ajahn, the assignment, can we refer to your note? The one that you sent
Yes.
to us, can we refer to it?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
my note will come from 7, sometimes 5, some chapter 5 textbook of sources. The main textbook. Yes.
And the textbook is the 3rd edition, right?
Yeah, I think the newest version will have a lot of revision that will help a lot better than the first or the second.
Okay.
But you don't need to buy them if you're not going to read them. Because I know that a lot of students buy our textbook just for decoration on the wall.
Very hard to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to, because
Okay.
no use. And by the way, I'm going to give away a lot of my textbook and a lot of my commentary too. I'm going to assign Jasmine Joe to be the manager, and I might have problem how to divide all my books to give away. I might do is like raffle or something, and you get the raffle to get what certain set you get of certain book you will get. Maybe that may be fair to everyone. I have maybe 1,000 books to give away. So that worth $20,000-$30,000 maybe. So I will keep you updated when I work it out with Jasmine how to give away my books. You have any more questions or comment before we take a break? Okay, let's take another break. We come back